Hello and welcome to another unboxing. Today I am diving into the latest addition to the Warcry universe, the Briar and Bone box set. So we're going to unbox the set, look at some of the lore and take a really detailed look at everything inside. Okay, for those who are new to the Warcry universe, let's just start with a brief introduction. Warcry is set in the Mortal Realms, which is a fantastical universe within the Age of Sigmar. The game focuses on small skirmishes between warbands vying for power, glory and survival in a world that is filled with magic, monsters and ancient secrets. So, the Briar and Bone box set introduces us to a new conflict between two unique warbands. So this set dives deep into the realm of Giran, which is the realm of life, where there are dense and enchanted forests and filled with thorny wildernesses, and it's lush, it's rich, it's green, it's beautiful, but also dangerous. The narrative of the game follows two opposing warbands, the Tyrannic cohorts of the Ossiarch Bone Reapers and the Twistwield of the Sylvaneth. I'll start off as the box opens with some of the Ossiarch Bone Reapers, well, the Tyrannic cohorts. Now, these are some of Nagash's most pitiable creations. They're twisted bone constructs wrought out of spite and flung out to range the wilds. They're like a brand new form of unlife. They're built for war and to fulfill Nagash's vision of creating this perfect, endless evil army to conquer everything, basically. Each one of them is led by this fellow. He is the Kavalos Centauri. So he's like the fusion of a Liege Kavalos and their former steed. They're pretty grotesque, but they're brutal, dark, exciting really. I mean, look at him now. He's a really complex model. He's got heavy armor, twisted bone structures, and he's unique and pretty disturbing. I've put together a 360 of him put together. If we just have a little look of him now. So while we do that, I'll just talk a bit about Bone Keepers. So the Mortarch Orphean Categoras and his Chief Lieutenant Arch Kavalos Santos led the Ossiarch legions, which are, as we spoke, composed of immortal and potent bodies constructed from bone. Now, each of these guys are not just inhabited by one soul, they could be inhabited by dozens, even hundreds of souls. They're crafted by mortars and craftsmen using bones collected from the teeth of bones. What's the teeth of bones? Well, I'm glad you asked. The Ossiarch Bone Reapers, they approach a settlement of living people with diplomacy, so they give you a lovely offer. The offer is teeth your bones or face total annihilation. Now, great deal, right? Some civilizations will plunder their graveyards, so they'll literally just dig up all their graveyards and find bones for these guys. Some will even offer limbs from their own living citizens. It's cruel, but for the most part it can be maintained without full death, and the Ossiarchs will return time and time again to a village and claim their bone tax. However, if they are resisted or provided with a poor or inadequate teeth, then all the offenders of villages are attacked and slain, and their remains are just left about as a warning. Well, what's left of their remains, obviously they'll take the bones. Okay, now we're going to move on to some of the more of the creatures. Here we have the Mortec Cycloptians. They serve as the herders of the Tyrannic cohorts, with humanoid silhouettes with warped and bestial minds. So they're bone and armor, and they're pretty monstrous. They're pretty detailed, pretty intricate. I think, to be fair, I'm going to say this a lot. I think I said this in my last video as well. These models are really quite fiddly and they're quite delicate. They're really cool because they've got so many tiny little parts, but they are going to be a mare to put together, just letting you know. Okay, next up we have the Tyrannic Prowlers. Now these are hunting beasts, so they are got little twisted limbs, feral poses. They're a bit easy to build though. And then finally, I like these ones best, I must admit. I like the Aviarch Harpies. Now these are winged creatures sculpted for lethality and self-loathing. They've got their detailed wings and aggressive poses. They are striking and menacing, and I think they're really quite fun. So that's pretty cool. Now I'm going to move on to the Twistwield. Now these this always makes me laugh because I always say this, but these guys aren't technically the goodies. You think, oh wait, we've got the baddies, which are like the death guys, and then we're going to have these lovely Sylvaneth, oh, elven people in the forest, sweet, kind. No. So the Sylvaneth have been they've been infected by these bizarre arcane parasites. So the Gnarlwood has a realm shaper that misfires, and it basically, they're like spores, and it clouds their minds, it overgrows their bodies, it digs into their flesh, it causes them constant horrendous pain, and that pain drives them because they are obsessed with going back to the Everspring and to receive the healing touch of their god Ilariel. Unfortunately, it's not to be, because they're more potent and they're more powerful and more useful as these twisted and grotesque warriors. And who should lead them but the Swarm Sage, and you can see her here. The Swarm Sage are a crucial figure, so they lead their afflicted warband through their tormented existence. They have discovered a unique way to delay the progress of the devastating parasitic infection that plagues their kind. By communing with the spike spawns, which are those insects you can see all around her, they're insects which are infused with jade magic, and they are commanded by her. So they eat all the corrupted matter that's on their hosts, which is known as devourer infection. Now this process gives the infected Sylvaneth with unnatural strength, although it does also cause some harm as the insects eat the fungal tendrils that are growing from them. Originally the Swarm Sages were seldom seen. They remained within their groves as healers or last lines of defense against the creep of chaos. But when it was discovered that they could use their spike swarm to consume the parasites, they were dispatched more often to treat their Sylvaneth friends. Now, despite their efforts, these magical insects can only consume the surface growths, so the invasive plants quickly grow back within just days on their hosts, which is a shame. So they're needed basically just to keep all the other Sylvaneth alive in permanent exile, although obviously they also become infected themselves. The model is extremely intricate, and we had some trouble to assemble her, being honest. Painting her too will be tricky. Those little bees, and I'm going to call them bees, they're like little insects, they're so tiny. She's a job for maybe using contrast paint to add a deep contrast in the dips in the model, and then picking out highlights like the wings of the bees in the bodies with little careful dabs of paint. Right then, next we'll go through some more of the Sylvaneth creatures. I've really rambled on in this video, so I do apologise. I've had a lot of fun. Can you tell? That's a good thing, isn't it, right? Okay, so the Swarm Sage and Twistroot Spire Revenants. So some of the Sylvaneth that are infested by the Twistroot they love it. They've got a grim appreciation to the new shaders that their body has. So these guys use like the flexible appendages. They use like the great big vines, the roots that come out of their bodies, and they're thorny, and they use them to attack, and they think they're great, apart from obviously the whole being in pain thing. So they can use an attack called the Thorned Grasp, which chokes the life out of their enemies. It's very late in the video for me to discover that Twistroot isn't something that with my lisp is really hard to say, but hopefully you haven't all got really annoyed with it by now. Finally, we've got the Twistroot Wardens. So these are Sylvaneth who manage to retain their sanity, and they become these powerful sentinels that sacrifice their own lives to protect their Swarm Sage and ensure the existence of the Weald, despite their infection. They fight with attacks like the Sprite Spear, the Guardian Blow, or the Guardian Halbert, and they enter a trance-like state to battle through all the pain that riddles them. Even when foes hack away at their flesh, they remain deadly. Each wound bleeds Twistroot spores that quickly find their way into the assailant's body, which eat away at the organs and the nervous systems. Even the Nighthaunt and the Terratic cohorts are not safe, basically. Despite it being undead or being made of bone, these parasitic attacks will just eat away at enemies, so it makes them a formidable foe. Also included in the box is this fellow. This is the Ravening Gnarloak. Now, this is actually a terrain piece, so it has a couple of attacks. It wants to eat your flesh, basically. I will call it the Cursed Chair, because that does appear to be what it is. Something to be avoided. Yeah, interesting bit of terrain there. Okay, so Now let's just go through with what is left in the box to enjoy. You've got your standard bases all there ready to go with, including this large oval base here, or your hero piece, I think. Okay, and then we go into here. Now we've got some amazing cards. Now these cards are 12 fighter cards, 3 ability cards, 3 divider cards, and 42 battle plan cards, which will help you manage your warband and your battles effectively. I'm just going to quickly go through these with you and show you a few pictures. The presentation isn't as fantastic as with some of the recent boxes, but it's still quite nice. Cards seem nice and thick, art seems nice and shiny. Can't complain too much. We've also got our quick reference cards, which will help us out as we play our games. A nice and thick card and really handy when we're playing. In addition, right, this is the bit that I like most. Here we have your rule book and all your information you need about assembling the models. Now the Briar and Bone art book and rule book is great as usual, and it contains lots and lots and lots of lovely artwork. I really love the artwork here, and it contains lots of lore, which really helped me when I was writing this video, although perhaps you wouldn't be able to tell that based on how it's gone. But honestly, it's really fascinating. There's loads and loads in there to explore and to read, and I've really enjoyed having a look and exploring more about the backstory, as well as learning more about how to play the game, which looks like it's going to be a really fast-paced and interesting one with lots of different abilities on both sides, enabling for some really interesting battles. Last but not least, we have all the assembly instructions. These are printed on full colour paper, glossy, not as thick as some, but pretty nice. I'm going to be really brutally honest with you now. These models are really quite fiddly and quite hard to put together. This set is probably not for beginners and not for young children and not for people who are definitely not for people who are starting out with Warhammer, unless you are less finicky than we are about how you put your models together, because some of these pieces are really tough. They're really, really fiddly. It can be a little bit of a nightmare getting them together and everything to line up correctly. So just to let you know. Okay, so I think that's about it really. There's no markers, there's no measurers, there's no dice in this box, so can't talk to you about that, but hopefully you should have some already. That was really it. That was my review of Briar and Bone, the new set by Warcry. I hope you enjoyed listening to me ramble on about it as much as I enjoyed exploring the box and making this video. If you liked it, please give me a like and a subscribe, and leave me a comment in the comment section below, but please not a nasty comment about my lisp and how I can't say twist wield, because I will cry. Thank you so much again, and take care and have the most amazing rest of the day. Thank you. Bye.